guys, welcome to our channel. This is Archie the Cockatiel and I am Stacy. Archie has a lot to talk about today. Before we get started, if you would like to join our flock, you can hit that subscribe button and please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful or if you enjoyed it. And we have a little bit of a story to tell before we get started in the video. So a couple of weeks ago, there was a fire in the building next to us. Not immediately next to us, but kind of around the corner next to us. And it was a pretty big fire, did about $200,000 worth of damage to the building. And I've always kind of had a really basic, what I would do if there was a fire. Grabbing the birds, putting them in their travel cages, taking them outside, and taking the dogs out as well. And I always knew that it would have to be in 2 trips because there's just no way that I can get 4 birds in cages and carry all 4 cages and handle my dogs. There's just no way that that's physically possible. And I live alone. I don't have any roommates or significant others. So it all falls on my shoulders to get everyone to safety. Yeah. So in the back of my mind, I had just been kind of reminding myself of what I would do if there was a fire. And less than a week later, I went to bed at about 11 p.m. or so. And I happened to leave my door open just because I was worried if there was a fire, not hearing the alarms in the hallway go off. And so I left my door open. Well, maybe about 20 minutes after I laid down, the fire alarm started going off. And I was freaking out a little bit. I was this seems really coincidental. So I got up and I rushed to the front door, opened up the front door. The hallway was full of smoke. And I was oh my god, this is really happening. So I sprung into action. I grabbed Archie and put him in his Celltei Backpack carrier, which if you haven't seen his carrier, I will put a card up with a link so that you can watch that. I also have a link in the description box. So I got him in his carrier, put him on my back, grabbed my 2 dogs, and put them on their leashes and ran outside. I have stairs that I have to go down, so I didn't run down the stairs because I'd probably trip and fall, and I don't want to fall in a way that would hurt Archie. So I rushed down the stairs, and a couple of my neighbors happened to be outside, and they said, and I mentioned to them, I said, I gotta hurry up, I gotta go grab the other birds. And they were like, can we take your dogs for you? So I handed the leashes over and I ran to my car and I put Archie in the driver's seat and locked the door. I ran, well, more sprinted, back to the building, up the stairs, into my apartment, grabbed the other 3 travel cages, put all the birds in their travel cages. I was in kind of a rush. I tried to get them to step up to put them each in their cage, but a couple of them were just freaked out. They didn't know what was happening. So I had to kind of catch them in my hand and put them in their travel cage. And then once I had the 3 in their travel cages, I have kind of a way that I can hold 2 cages in one arm, one under my arm and the other one with my hand, and then just hold the other one with the other hand. So it's hard to carry all 3 cages, but I make it work. So once I got them all in their cages, I rushed down the stairs and got out okay. And by about that time, I heard one of my neighbors mention that they were pretty sure the fire was out wherever it had started. And so all of our stuff was okay. Our particular unit was not affected, so we didn't lose anything. Fortunately for us, the fire was contained within the unit that it started. It started because the person who lived in that unit was trying to light a cigarette on his electric stove top, which is not smart. Please don't do that. I guess he was drunk and that's what happened, so I don't understand things that people do when they're drunk. Like, I know you're drunk, but that's really stupid. But anyway, so the fire was out. We had to wait outside. So the fire trucks came and like checked everything out. And then we were able to go back. The birds handled it pretty well. Like, they were definitely confused as to what was going on. We were kind of near the fire trucks, so they got to see all the lights and everything. But yeah, they did really well. My dogs were okay. Jorah just wanted to play with the cats that people had taken outside that lived in the building that had cats. He was trying to get at the cats, and Booker was enjoying all of the attention because everyone wanted to pet him because he's such a lovable dog. So he loved it, like, because he got so much attention. But yeah, the birds are definitely a little bit scared. So my plan is, as far as 2 trips, getting them in their travel cages quickly, running them to the car for the first trip, and then grabbing the others and coming back out. All went really well. I would say I got everybody out within less than 4 minutes. I was very fast. My asthma did bother me the rest of the evening from running because I do have asthma. So for the rest of the night I was like wheezing and coughing, but that's not a big deal. I should carry my inhaler on me. I'm really bad about that because I don't have asthma attacks very often unless it's something very strenuous like running or whatever. But I came up with something that I should have had as part of my plan, and that was an emergency kit. So I figured my plan worked pretty well. I had an idea in mind as far as how I would get everyone out to safety. Definitely make sure that you have a fire escape plan is very important, but also an emergency kit would be really good to have. And I didn't have one of those, and now I am making one up. So I'll show you what's going in my emergency kit. So you could do like a backpack for your emergency kit bag. Maybe if you only have like one bird, maybe like a lunchbox or something to put these things in. Or I'm using a messenger bag that I was using for school, but I ended up getting a new one, so I'm gonna use this one. It's also bird themed. I got it off Berber on Etsy. I don't think she has this available anymore, so I don't have a link for it. But yeah, I would use a backpack if it weren't for the fact that Archie's travel carrier is a backpack. So I don't think it makes sense to have it as a backpack. So I'm going to use my messenger bag. And the things that I have in my emergency kit are cornstarch. And you might be wondering, why cornstarch? Well, cornstarch is used to stop bleeding for birds. Like if they break a blood feather or if they get their nails trimmed too short, you can use cornstarch to stop the bleeding. You just take a little bit between your fingers, put it around, like let's say a blood feather, pinch the feather, not hard, but like apply a little bit of pressure and get that cornstarch kind of like all around it, and hold it for a few, and that'll stop the bleeding. So cornstarch. There's other things that you can use to stop bleeding as well, like a quick stop and things like that, but I like cornstarch because it's effective and it's very inexpensive. Sorry, I had to turn my camera. He really wanted to be in the video. Yeah. So anyway, so in my bag, other than the cornstarch, I also have some food bowls. So these are great because the travel cages don't all have food bowls in them, just because the way they rattle around or come out loose real easy with the flimsy doors. I like these, so I'm gonna have these in my emergency kit. And then it's also important, especially with birds, because birds are so picky about their food. Some of the foods that I feed my birds, like Archie, is only something that I can order online. So it's not like I'd be able to have an emergency, run to PetSmart and get his food. So I ordered an extra bag to keep in this emergency kit. It's his Higgins Intune pellets. And then I'm going to the bird store soon, and I'm going to get a bag of pellets, like a smaller bag for the other birds' food as well, and put it in my emergency kit. I also recommend having bottled water in your emergency kit. And then for the food, it is going to expire at some point, so switch it out. Keep an eye on the expiration date. Maybe start to feed that bag before it expires, and then buy a new bag to replace it. That way the food doesn't go to waste, because obviously food does expire. You can also have like a general first aid kit in your bag would be a good idea for like humans. If you have dogs like I do, you could put dog food in there. And I would highly recommend putting a phone charger in there, because if something happens and you have to stay overnight someplace where maybe there isn't a phone charger, like a hotel or something, you're gonna need one. So just get like an inexpensive phone charger and put that in your bag to have on hand. And then it wouldn't be a bad idea to have maybe a couple of bags of chips or snacks for yourself in the bag. If you have a big enough bag, maybe a change of clothes or something in there as well. And maybe a couple of foot toys or some kind of toys for your birds in the bag as well. So yeah, so that's what I would recommend for an emergency kit. And then you can try to think of other things to put in the emergency kit as well that would be important to you if you had to quickly leave your home and only grab a bag of so many things. I would recommend having your cages somewhere where they're easily accessible. I put mine in the closet by the front door for the 3 birds in the main room, and then BB's travel cage, because she's in the other room, is right next to her normal cage. My current smoke detector is in the hallway close to my bedroom, between like the kitchen, the bathroom, and the bedroom. And I wanted to have one in the living room towards the front door, so if the smoke starts coming in my apartment, I'll know right away. The smoke detector being in the hallway by my bedroom is like way towards the back of the apartment, so it doesn't really make sense to have just the one there. So I had one installed above my front door, so that as soon as the smoke starts coming in my apartment, I'll know, which is important because that's the area where the birds are, and smoke is very bad for birds. So even if the fire doesn't get into where you are, the smoke can kill the birds because their respiratory systems are so efficient. Their respiratory system is a system of lungs with air sacs, and the way they breathe is just way more efficient, so they're way more sensitive than we are. So smoke is extremely dangerous to birds. So it was very important when I was taking the birds outside of my apartment to go outside down the stairs that I went as quickly as I could to limit their exposure to the smoke. So my tips are to have a plan, make sure your travel cages are easily accessible, to make sure that you have a smoke detector that works and test it on occasion. If you feel like you need to have a smoke detector in a better area of where you live, don't be afraid to either talk to your landlord about getting one or installing one yourself. Have an emergency kit in like a backpack or some kind of bag with items such as the ones that I listed, and be safe. Alright guys, well I hope you found this video helpful. Please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe so that you can join our flock. We would love to have you and your support. And make sure that you practice fire safety so that you don't start a fire on accident to begin with. The guy who started the fire in our building is being evicted, so hopefully that will never happen again. I've always had in the back of my mind like just like the basic plan of what I would do if there was a fire, but it's really scary when it did happen for real, and I just think that I could have improved on my plan before it happened by having that emergency kit. Stay safe, and until then, we will see you next time.